All right, everyone. So this is a very new recipe for me, doing a caramel pumpkin snickerdoodles. Never made them before. First time here. We're going to start with 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour. So 3 cups plus a 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour in this separate bowl. On top of it, we will be doing a 1.5 teaspoon of baking powder. And the recipe will be below in this video. Next is salt, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now we're going to put cinnamon, ground cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon with a 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Yes, some nice seasonings. There is my whisk that I showed in previous videos that I love. Mixing all those dry ingredients together, and now we're going to start with the wet. The wet ingredients is 1 cup of unsalted butter, of course, at room temperature. Putting that in the stand mixer and mixing it up. And then we're going to add 1 cup of sugar, regular plain sugar, 1 cup. Got to dust off my flour on that. Yes, 1 cup of sugar into the bowl while the butter is mixing. On top of that is 1/2 cup of light brown sugar. Now we're going to make sure we get that all packed in the measuring cup and dumped it also with the wet ingredients. Next is the pumpkin puree. Yes, we're using pumpkin puree. Probably could go with a small can, but I got a lot of recipes I want to do with pumpkin. Put 3/4 cup of pumpkin puree in the wet ingredients. Any leftover pumpkin, just store it in an airtight container, a lock and lock in the fridge, probably no more than a week, but just make sure you use it. If not, small can will work for this. And then we will add our last wet ingredient. Well, not our last one, sorry. 1 egg. We got 1 large egg, goes right in. I did that little TikTok trick, just drop the egg so you don't have to get it all over your hands, which actually works. And then this is our last 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And we're just going to get that all mixed, as you can see, scraping the bowl. Somehow I got flour on my face. God knows. But yes, we scrape the bowl, we scrape the paddle, we're getting that mixed up. And like I said, we've never done this recipe, so we're going to see how this goes. And we're mixing everything together. So right here, we are going to start putting in our dry ingredients. As you can see, I just made that whisk go flat, which makes it nice to shovel in those dry ingredients that are wet. And we are going to put them on. Make sure you put it on a low speed so you don't get it a complete cloud burst of dust. But we are going to add all that in and slowly add it in. As you can see, I did not slowly add it in. It just went poof. A big cloud burst, but that's all right. Still got all of it in the bowl, basically. Scraping. And there we go. So we're going to let that all combine, come together. Yes, and get that all scraped off. Mix it again. Make sure you scrape your bowls each time so that it all comes together. And we're mixing it until it gets all incorporated. And now I'm going to get everything scraped off. But this dough has to be refrigerated for about an hour, at least an hour. It's a very sticky dough, even after it comes out of the refrigerator, which you will see shortly. We got to refrigerate that dough for an hour. So I'm scraping everything, making sure everything's combined in the bottom, putting some aluminum foil on the bowl and sticking it right into the fridge. Now, this is the cinnamon sugar coating, aka the snickerdoodle part. We do 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, regular white sugar, with a 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon and 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger. And then we do a dash of allspice, which is, I did 2 little shakes, mixing that all together while the dough's in the fridge. You know, clean up, get some cinnamon sugar coating, get that ready to go. Now I took it out of the fridge. This was 30-minute mark. And as you can see, it's still sticky. So I mixed it up so we can get it together. But as you can see right there, it was just sticky. I was like, I got to put it back in. So while we put it back in, I'm unwrapping some caramels. These are 36 soft caramels, like Kraft. Depending on how big you make your cookies, you could probably just use one caramel, but I made mine kind of big and we decided to put 2 in. But as you can see, it was still sticky after an hour in the fridge, which was crazy. So I put some flour on my hands, put in a caramel in the middle, added more dough, shake it in that cinnamon sugar, put it on my cookie sheet and press down, which you probably could press down a little bit more. But then I realized, hey, I need to go get flour on a plate so my hands don't get the good flour all mixed up. So then I was like, let's get a cookie scooper or ice cream scooper to help out here to try to make them even, which as much even as you can with a sticky dough is kind of hard to work with. I'm not going to lie. But here also, I would have probably flattened those caramels, maybe like roll them, maybe mush them with my thumb. Try to get them more flat because they really have a terrible time melting in the cookie. And I put extra cinnamon sugar on top of these just to give it a little more taste to them. As you can see, there they're done. They cracked on top. This was a 350-degree oven for about 20 minutes because I made mine big. But keep them in between 10 to 15 minutes. You should be set on that if you don't make them as big. But yes, as you can see, they are cracked on top. They are golden on the bottom. Right here, I will show you. See how beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cookies they are. And yes, and when you break them apart, there is the caramel. It kind of gooed out. This one only had 1, but like I said, I put 2 after I realized 1 was not doing it. It was not cutting it. But they are best served warm.